Welcome to the Creative AI Show. What do we have this week, Brian?
Hey, Rosh, happy to be here. We're two creative guys talking AI. And you know what? Today, I am ready to crown Google the king of AI. We had a little talk before the show about
Yeah,
this. I think you're on the same page with me. Am I right?
I think so in many ways. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Absolutely.
we'll dive down that rabbit hole. We're gonna give every direction that Google's doing things well, it's due, and really talk about how it's established itself up there. And then the other one, I'm starting to lose my old man get off my lawn attitude towards Suno. I invested the $10 a month. I am now a Suno Pro user, and I'm currently
Look at
mid
you.
conversation with my other bandmates about potentially even using an output from Suno and trying to
Oh,
turn it into a song for the band. So I'm
oh,
starting to
he's oh. Do you realize whose mouth this is coming out of?
I know. I've changed quickly. You know what? I'm going to thank our audience, Rosh. We've gotten a lot of good eye-opening comments on some of these videos. And, it's just that natural progression of things. I guess people who did recording 20 years ago when Pro Tools first came out was like, this isn't recording unless you're cutting tape together and doing
Right,
all these
exactly.
different things. So, just like your digital photography
Right.
world, hey, this isn't photography. It's not on film. And all right, it's not photography if it's not done digitally. All right, it's not photography if you created it with AI,
Right.
so it's that next step of things. So
Absolutely.
I'm excited to chat about that and throw it back your way. What else do you have going on?
So I want to talk about the top chatbots right now.
Oh, good,
The
good.
AI chatbots, I think we can all guess which one's number one.
Hmm.
But what about the next ones? And what percentage of ChatGPT is chat? Well, as I just
You got
lay
the
that
cat's out the
out,
bag.
surprise everyone.
Spoiler alert.
But what are the next ones, and
Yeah,
and what percentage do they take up in that list? And I'm also going to talk about just a little bit about SEO as it relates to that too, because I think it all connects. And then next, I want to talk about a few different AI tools that have come out. I want to talk about creativity, and I think that's where we can really get into that Google conversation too.
yeah.
But there's a couple new creative tools I think you might be interested in.
Very good. Well, cool. Yeah, I would definitely want to talk about that. I definitely want to lead with Google because I think it really deserves it. And I want to tell you why this is suddenly so important to me. So, to
Yeah.
me, in the world of AI creativity, it's kind of like a trident. It's a three-pronged fork to where, you start with your LLM. So you've got, ChatGPT, you've got Gemini, you've got all these different ones. And then you've got your image generator and your video generator. So to me,
Yeah.
in the creative, if you're going to judge a company, how do those three things perform?
Right.
So, for a long time, Gemini was always good as an LLM. I mean, I always thought it was a touch under ChatGPT. It did some things well. Claude did some other things well, but Gemini was always just kind of there. And, it's still, I would say, not necessarily the dominant king, but it's at least competitive enough with the other ones to fight a good fight against
Yeah.
them. And
Absolutely.
then shift in what happened a few months back when Google Veo dropped.
Right.
And Google Veo completely knocked the socks off the competition. I would always say Kling is king, which is powered by DeepSeek. And in almost all my
Is it powered by
competition,
DeepSeek, or
yes,
do they just use DeepSeek as part of the process?
I believe it's powered by DeepSeek, but I could be wrong. And again, let me know in the comments anybody's
Yeah,
listening
I
if they
mean,
know
honestly, I
anything
don't know.
other.
We've said
But
that a few
yeah,
times, and I've been meaning to say, I wish I know they've like partnered with DeepSeek, and
yeah,
it's
no,
you
no,
can connect within it, but I don't know if it may be it's worthy
okay.
of that
Well,
follow up.
we can at least have that follow up on it. But yes, I know it's supported by the DeepSeek engine.
Yeah.
But Kling has always been very good, and
Yes.
Minimax, like you mentioned before, but Veo, especially with its flow option of
Mhm.
how and it's not just the outputs that we're getting with these tools, it's how well we can interact and use these tools, and be forward thinking, like what Runway just did with its agent mode, and how you're able to have more of an LLM chat with its video output.
Right.
You could do that same thing in Google Gemini and have a good back and forth chat.
With
Um,
Nano Banana. Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, and that's the third part of this now, and that's why I'm ready to have this conversation now. Is Nano Banana, absolutely knocked the image generation part of it out of the park.
So
Before
that's two of them.
Gemini's image,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
before
mean,
Gemini's image
honestly,
generator
we've been
was
talking
good.
about Nano Banana for like 3 weeks now. Aren't we done with
Yeah,
it? No, it's still
no,
dominating.
yes. Yeah, it's completely changing, how what's happening. So since Nano Banana's launch, the Gemini app has added 10 million new users.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it really boosted, Google's collective AI dominance in the world. And I actually asked ChatGPT 5 to write me all of these things about why Google's kicking its butt, and it was a little begrudging to do it, but it had to admit it. It was
Yeah.
like, you know what? This, the engine of this is so great. It's processed over 200 million edits so far. It's able to use different platforms, so you can access it on the web, on mobile, even through social media. Now, X has generated Nano Banana AI tool prompt in its Twitter or X's
Yeah.
world.
And Leonardo just added it this
Yep.
month. And oh, what was it that was just added recently too? But there's a number of them. It's just becoming like the default everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and because Google likes to be open source in that kind of way and be able to, lend it out there and things like Leonardo that aren't necessarily using Leonardo tools, but they can borrow from Google, which it already proved when it added Veo on there, and we did
Yep.
some competitions. I haven't seen your video you put up a couple days ago using Nano Banana on Leonardo, but I definitely want to check it out.
Yeah.
You want to just tell quickly how did it do compared to normal Google?
Oh, it did great. And actually,
Good.
there was a default that went back to image one, which is ChatGPT. I was looking, it's like, this is not as good. This is not working. Then we saw, oh, it went back to the default. And then we could actually compare what
Yeah.
happens if you use another LLM or another engine versus Nano Banana. And it was like night
Nice.
and day. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just so solid image generation after generation was just stuck at every time. And then you
Wow.
use another one and there's always something a little bit off. There's just it
Yeah.
was never quite right. The background was a little different. The subject was a little different. And that's why this is such a popular new tool.
Yeah. No, what I've read most in a sentence is it's Photoshop in a prompt.
Yeah.
And that says a lot because I mean, Photoshop is one of those tools that, even myself being a marketer for the last decade, Canva's been good enough. I haven't had to go down the rabbit hole of Photoshop and having to learn fully how to use these Adobe higher level tools.
Hmm.
And now to think that we've got AIs that are capable of generating content that's at that level or making edits at that level of Photoshop just by a prompt,
Yeah.
that barrier to entry is going to go down for a lot of people. And they're going to
Oh,
be able to,
absolutely. Just add another photo to your photo and say put this
yeah.
here or there and change the color and whatever. It's just tremendous.
Yeah. And not to mention, I mean, even, to change gears over here to Veo 3, the fact that they were the first engine to just integrate audio in
Yeah.
their video. They made Kling make a quick change that maybe they weren't ready for, or, some of these other ones. So, they're pushing it in terms of their progressing the way we're interacting with these tools. The outputs that we're getting are high quality, and they're kind of changing the game of AI and how we're interacting and using and getting our outputs.
Yeah. You were saying, 2.5 Gemini, maybe not as good as some of the others. I think ChatGPT in some ways is better, but you know, when I go down that list, I talk about creativity, which we'll talk about more in a few moments. Claude is always it, and
Hmm.
then Gemini, and then ChatGPT. But the one
Right.
thing that they have working for them when I like to code is their canvas. The canvas works every time and
Yeah.
connects to
Yep.
everything. So I don't have to keep cutting and pasting. I can complete the project in that canvas, see it working, and then take the code over to where I want to work it. And ChatGPT and Claude and others just don't have that in the same
Wow.
way.
Okay.
Unless
Good.
you
Yeah.
use
Because
something like maybe a cursor or something like that, are lovable those tools. They
okay.
they may have more interaction like that, but without those tools, definitely Gemini.
Well, that's a good feather in the cap for Gemini because, if I'm looking at, say all the three prongs I mentioned, Nano Banana, that's an A to an A plus. Google Veo, that's an A to an A plus. If Gemini is still a B plus, you combine everything together, then it averages out to an A, where these other
Yeah.
companies are all going to be under that. So that's why, it is right where it is. Gemini's got its deep think too, but you've got to be an ultra member to be able to use that.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of a drawback, I'd say. But also among educators, they're saying Gemini 2.5 has been preferred over GPT 4.0, Claude 3.7. a lot of these that the educators like to use it the most as well. So yeah, it's got its strengths across the board. And to quote us a year ago, we were kind of like just saying, hey, where's Gemini in this game? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Or where's
OpenAI,
Google? Yeah.
it's Grok, it's all these different ones. And we were just like, hey, don't count Gemini out yet. It'll get there. Or not Gemini, don't count Google out
Right.
yet. It's got the funding. It's been, I don't think it's ready to let go of its title of number one website and all of that
No, no,
quite
not at
yet.
all. Not at all. And that's actually a good segue if you don't mind going into
I
those
don't.
other things. So, you know, you know, Google really wants to keep that position, but we have ChatGPT. There's the SEO element, how much search. Well, Google's still about 87% of the search,
Hmm.
and ChatGPT is 82.7% of chatbot use. But if you look at
Ah,
the
right,
average traffic to your website, about about 50%, 47 to 50% is Google, and 0.027 is ChatGPT.
right.
So that 82%, there's a high adoption rate, but it's really not digging into Google as much as people think it is.
Right.
I mean, look, AI answers in general are in many ways, but people are asking more questions too, which is increasing search. So anyway, so there was that punchline on the chatbots, the 82.7. What do you think is number two? This is a surprise to me.
Maybe Grok.
No, Perplexity,
Oh, okay, interesting.
8.2.
Okay, 82,
And then
8.2.
Microsoft Copilot,
Yeah.
4.5. Google Gemini, 2.2.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, these are July numbers.
Okay.
So this does not include the additional numbers, with their latest image generator.
Yeah.
And then from there we have DeepSeek 1.5 and Claude zero point 0.9. And that
Hmm.
surprises the heck out of me.
Yeah.
Claude is such a strong, it's a strong
Word
chatbot.
generator.
It
Right. Yeah.
really should be something like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. I mean, it's
Yeah.
that's it. And then maybe four is DeepSeek. Now we just had Qwen that was released with a trillion parameter, trillion with a T there, parameter. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Which was just released and it does chat pretty well. I haven't tested it too far, but it is very insightful. It's very smart and it beats a lot of the other ones that are out there right now.
Cool.
But I mean, it's not even on most people's radar, but it's there for you if you really
Yeah.
want a smart one. And that's from Alibaba.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't even heard of that one, but that's
Yeah.
impressive. Yeah, to be able to have that, big of a memory bank there to get conversations going. So that's
Yeah.
insane.
No, a lot of reference points there. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, very good. Thank you for that. Yeah, chatbots are super important. One of the best AI applications to where if you're going to install something and have it try to help your company right away. And we talked in the show last week about how AI is, everyone's so fearful that it's just going to come and take over, but in so many ways that it's just not there yet. And one of the ways that if you really want to affect your company's usage of AI, one of the first directions to go is a good chatbot to be there to
Yeah.
to take calls, to reply to things right away, auto reply to emails, just different things like that that could help out your
Or
company's
just
outreach.
connecting it to important, regular, everyday systems that you can interact with.
Yeah.
I mean, how often do we not know all the features or benefits or capabilities within our company? And
Hmm.
having really someone you can go to immediately. Hey, do we have this? Or even inventory. What
Yeah.
do we have available? All these things can be connected to your Claude, to your Chat GPT through APIs or MCPs and or some even just a general database. You can connect all that. Even a big old Word document can be
Hmm.
connected, and it can use it as reference material. And so you don't even have to make it that big. If you're a small company and just by yourself,
Yeah.
heck, create a big document, make it a PDF or a text document, and then connect the AI to it. Say, hey, this is your reference material.
Yeah.
And there's a lot you can do and brainstorm within your company or see patterns within your company, all sorts of things like that.
Yeah, that's one of the big next steps. Yeah, to be able to just take this technology and move yourself forward. So, but all right, good to hand it back.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well,
So
speaking of yeah, moving it forward down the road, Suno.
yeah.
I am very I don't know. I'm still I'm pushed and torn in many different directions here. But it's only when I fully tried Suno 4.5, which is
Mhm.
their latest update. So 3.5 is free. You got to have pro level to have version 4 or 4.5. 4.5 plus, so there's a beta mode of that right now. It's the latest one, and I did a comparison on my last video showing a song that had the exact same prompts, exact same lyrics, everything. I did 3.5 versus 4.5 plus, and it was night and day, Rosh. It was
Really.
so good. And because there's a certain
What what
genre
what
that
made it good?
all right, so all right, good question. For years and years, being somebody who is like a fan of rock music or angsty music or something like, that's got a bit of an edge to it.
Hmm.
Pop music to me is always kind of like the opposite of that. It doesn't really have an edge. It's meant to be kind of listener friendly across the board. And no matter what I put in for the inputs before, it always gave an output to me that just sounded like a pop song. And it didn't have that edge or that kind of
Right.
bite to it that I'm looking for. And that was the big difference. I even put in the description I wanted male angsty vocals, so like angry angst, that kind of feel, and it still wouldn't do it. It was still all this sugar coated kind of crap,
Yeah.
and 4.5 found it. I mean, it was so much better. The drums were sharp and loud. The vocals were angsty and pained in the right way. And, this emotion that you're looking to try to get from it. And, half of your brain's like, no, there's a computer coming up with this. It's not going to be able to do it. But then when it does it and it does it this well, all of a sudden that raises an eyebrow. You're like, oh, okay, this technology is pretty cool. And then being able to then take a song and do two different cool things with it to push it down the road, Rosh. So first of all, you can get the stems of the song. Do you know what that is?
Not a clue.
Okay, so the stems of a song are the individual tracks. So say this song has two guitars,
Okay.
a vocal, a backup vocal, a keyboard, a drum, a bass. Those then are all extracted into separate stems.
Ah.
So I can then listen to the song and I can solo the vocals. So I just hear the vocals. I hear nothing
Okay.
else. Or I can mute the drums, the bass, and guitar too. So then I only hear the vocals, the harmonies, the keys, and guitar one.
Hmm.
Or I can just listen to the guitar track and then I can download just the guitar track. So then I can pick up my guitar and try to learn exactly what that guitar track is without the other instruments trying to confuse me. Then I can download a version of the song that has everything except for the guitars. So then I can play the song and then play my guitar along to it.
Okay. Sure. So you can learn
So
learn how to play it. Yeah.
yeah. And then, like back when you first showed me Refusion and I did a couple of videos on
Yeah.
that, it was great. You could get an output, but you could never quite get two outputs that sounded like they were the same band or the same
Right.
person or the
Right.
same singer. But what Suno has is a persona. So you
Mm.
can save, so much like character reference in, say,
Yeah.
Vidue or something like
Sure.
that,
Sure.
you can save a persona in Suno and name it and title it. So, like, I named it, like, Bry 182 because it was my idea, but I wanted it to sound like Blink 182 in that world.
Oh, right.
So
Okay.
I named this little persona Bry 182. And I can then click that persona, upload new lyrics, give it some updated style references, and then there's three little bars to where I can adjust the weirdness. So just the expected results is it
Hmm.
100% what I asked for or very weird. And then I can do a bar on the style influence or the audio or persona influence. And then create a new output. So say you want it to be weird in different style, but you really want it to be that same persona. You
Sure.
can do the weirdness and the style off, but then the persona influence to 100%. And then all of a sudden you've got track 2 on your album now,
Right.
because
Right.
it's going to be the same sounding guitar, the same sound to the drums, the vocal delivery and texture of the voice is going to be the same.
Okay.
And that's where you can start to generate multiple tracks that all kind of live together in the same album, if you will.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so we're it's pretty cool. I mean, again, I think you should just put in basic stuff here and get it and then export it and upload it to Spotify and start making money? No, I think that you need to use it as a tool to create real music. And, so I'll still stand on my soapbox a little bit there. Like, I'm not going to download one of these songs and then just hand it over to the band and we'll put it on our next album. Like, no. But if it's got a decent sound and a decent, vocal melody or different things like that, and we can download it and use it as, a demo for us to work off of and then generate our own song.
Right.
I think that's part of the progression of music that we're going to start to see.
Hmm. Yeah.
And,
Especially if you can start coming up with some new sounds and new
yeah,
approaches,
blending of
influenced
genres.
by
Yeah,
AI, but it's not AI. You just use that tool to help. I mean, just like many tools out there. I
yeah,
mean, whether it's, I mean, we've had music software for a long, long time that could do a lot of
right,
very interesting things, and
right.
you come up with a new sound, new idea, new approach. So absolutely. I mean, listen to
So many.
everybody's voices on the pop
I was going to
charts.
say,
They all sound the same. But,
exactly what I was going to say. Auto tune, people,
yeah,
that's not
auto-tuned to,
singing, that's auto tune. Well, tell T-Pain that because he's on his yacht right now.
yeah,
Because he made a career off of using this tool to
yeah.
generate music. So, yeah, I'm slowly letting the kids play on the lawn again. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, guys, if you're listening, please on the YouTube, let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on that. But, it's getting there. The technology's getting there, buddy.
Yep. Yep.
So, all right, I'm gonna throw it back your way for where I think you want to talk a little more
So
creativity
yeah,
and talk about direction.
I played a little bit with the creativity of things, and a few number of videos back, and it really was, as I've always said, Claude by far won the day,
Yeah.
and I think there's a number of new tools that are coming out. We've talked about Google, what it's doing. It's amazing. But there are some other tools out there like CapCut's Dreamina. Is it
Mm-hmm.
that though? Is that how we
Dreamina,
pronounce it?
I would say so. I wouldn't throw the
So
extra syllable in there. Dramini.
yeah. So, they now have a product placement update.
Oh,
So
cool.
kind of like Nano Banana, where you're having that consistent feature, it's very good for product placement. So if you are trying to create product placement images, video for your, social media or advertising, there's an area that they're starting to specialize in a little bit
Hmm,
more.
that's smart.
Minimax has audio speech 2.5, which is a nice step up, kind of like you were just talking about with the music, the 4 point, is it 4.5 that you were working
Yes,
with?
Suno 4.5
Yeah,
plus.
it's each level is refining now, and I think that's really where we are, even on the creativity and the AIs in general. I mean, we've come up to we're there's that point where every week it was just this huge jump, huge jump, huge jump. Even it was amazing with Google because for the most part, the image generators were pretty good,
Yeah,
overall. But that consistency element was the big issue,
right.
and Google fixed that. So it's going to be those kinds of fixes that are going to keep pushing the different tools just a little bit further, maybe a little more realistic, a little more refined in ways maybe you hadn't thought of. Because to your point, when we're listening to Refusion, like, wow, but then it's like, yeah, it's a little poppy, isn't it?
Yeah,
And so over time you get used to some things. So getting more into every little element that makes it seem a little bit more real, and a
right.
little more like you have some control, and it's not this, rolling the dice every time,
Yeah,
which it had been for quite a while.
right.
And now we can have a little more control. We can upload a photo and say, hey, just take that out, and it's going to work what we want. Or now make a new version of this photo, and that's scene one, and then scene two,
Yeah.
and now put this person driving in a car. It's the same person, scene three, and you have the control, and so AI is fun, but when it's random, you can only use random for so long.
Right.
So,
No,
you
I
have any
agree
thoughts on
wholeheartedly.
that?
No, that's a good way to put it. I mean, I saw a comparison against DALI 3 versus Nano Banana. And like DALI 3 to us, like, a year and a half ago was insane what it can do.
Yeah.
And like what they did is they uploaded a low res picture of themselves. Like it was like a couple. And then we're like,
Right.
make this high resolution. And ChatGPT made like a caricature of that person. Like, it was like
Hmm.
90% real.
Right.
Whereas Nano Banana flat out took that image and upscaled it and
Yeah.
made the quality better. Like you could tell these are the exact people, their facial features. It didn't make them look like a cartoon. And it's like it took a huge step forward. And it's just, yeah, like we're just watching this. If AI is creating a statue, we're watching the now we're getting to the fine point of with the
Yeah.
chisel right now, and we're
Right.
working on the wrinkles in the eyes and the different things.
But that's just
So
going to make
yeah,
these tools more practical.
yeah,
And I think that again, we're coming to that plateau that now we're going to have these tools, and AI isn't going to grow so much faster in the sense of, yeah, I see people say, yeah, we can make 1,000 different versions of this ad. Now, look at great. Are you really going to use 1,000 versions of that ad? No, you need
right,
to decide. Someone's going to have to test them. You're going to have to go through a process. There's going to, it's just better tools. And they're starting to push out more and more that point of like, oh, AI is taking over the world. They're kind of pushing those dates out more and more because
yeah,
they're kind of starting to see the limitations. Hey, these are just really great tools that
yeah.
are looking for trends and patterns and really just, you know, are dealing with tokens and variations of tokens. And we're just getting better at rearranging these tokens.
Yeah, at this point, humanity might last to 2028. We'll see.
Hey, that would be amazing.
That would be pretty good. That would be an optimistic side of things. Well, all right. Well, to end the show then on a completely pessimistic note. So, but no, I agree with you. I think the updates are slowing down, or at least the huge leaps forward are slowing down, and that's what made Nano Bananas release this past week so big. Is
Yeah.
that there finally was a big step forward in the
Yeah.
terms of how you interacted and got these outputs. So.
Yep.
All right, very good. All right, well, we appreciate everyone listening thus far, and if you haven't liked and subscribed yet, please do. If you're listening to this on any one of the standard, podcast platforms, and you haven't checked out our YouTube channel yet, please do. We're the Creative AI Show, and yeah, we're two creative guys talking AI.
Talk to you next week.